This is a question for any member of the panel. What president in the last 50 years has faced the challenges that Bush 43 has faced?
Very good and very sharp and focused question. Bill Kristol?
I mean, every president faces challenges, and they're obviously each different. But I think if you're implying that Bush faced particularly stark challenges with the plummeting economy as he took over, and then, of course, 9/11, for which the government wasn't prepared, the country wasn't prepared, the Bush administration, frankly, wasn't prepared, but certainly the Clinton administration hadn't done much to help prepare for. I think the president reacted well to the challenges he faced, and that is what makes someone a reasonably successful president. He made mistakes, as he said recently in the interview. You know, he hadn't realized he was going to have to fight 2 wars. No one thought we would do that. We're doing that in October of 2000. He adjusted in the conduct of those wars, and I think pretty well. And the same with Homeland Security. They made a couple of mistakes, but basically ended up, thank God, I think, hardening this country in a pretty effective way and putting al-Qaeda on the run by taking the offensive. I really don't understand this. I mean, Pakistan, poor Bush, he gets criticized not promoting democracy in Pakistan enough. Then we promote democracy in Pakistan. We have elections. We actually have a rather good leader of Pakistan now. He has a corrupt past, but has said the right things about trying to curb, well, you can laugh about it, but it's a tough place to govern. He's trying to curb the ISI and the terrorists. We're now going in aggressively in the northwest frontier to take out al-Qaeda. I don't think that's a mistake. I think Obama is right to support Bush on that. So I think Bush adjusted well to very difficult circumstances.
Jacob Weisberg, I mean, the implication of that question is that no president could have done well with these circumstances. What do you think of that?
Well, I disagree with that. Every president until through Bush's father had to manage the Cold War, which was infinitely more threatening to the existence of civilization than September 11th was. And in particular, if you want a particularly specific example, John F. Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis, which probably brought us closer to Armageddon than we've ever been, and the way Kennedy personally managed that crisis. If you've ever seen the movie 13 Days or listened to any of the tapes, it's an amazing story because he rejected the advice of very powerful people in his administration who claimed to know a lot more than he did, but his instincts were very good, and he made the decision that saved us all.
Audience questions. I'm going to collect a couple. To the right here, and then I want to get to the other side. I see a white sleeve halfway up. Keep that hand waving, and we'll get a microphone up to you.
Thank you. This is a question for Mr. Rove. I have great belief in the wisdom of the gross American population. If what you have said is about the Bush successes is true, how is it that his general approval record is so extraordinarily and historically low?
Okay, I'm going to hold that question, Karl, and collect a couple of others, but we will come to it. The gentleman with the white sleeve we spoke of.
This is also a question for Mr. Rove. If the United States is known for its Constitution and for respect for the rule of law, how would you rate the Bush presidency? And as a follow-up question, why would you not testify in a criminal investigation relating to abuse of government power?
All right. We're going to take these 2 questions. Now, these questions are to Karl, but I see an opening a truck could drive through for your opponents to also be part of this conversation. Karl, the first question, why are the president's approval ratings so low?
Look, we're asking, it's an unpopular war, and we're asking the country to do tough things for a long time. And the economy's bad. I would remind you, not to correct Mr. Weisberg, but there have been 3 presidents who had lower approval ratings that I'm aware of. Carter, actually 4. Carter, Nixon, Johnson, and Truman. Truman left office with numbers lower than this president's. History has judged each of these men differently after their departure. If I could respond to the second one, rule of law. First of all, I'm not aware that I've refused to testify in a criminal investigation. You may know something I don't know. You want to elucidate? I think what you may be suggesting is, why will I not testify in front of the United States Congress? And the reason is because I believe in the rule of law. The rule of law that says there's a separation of powers between the executive and the legislative branches, and that the President of the United States has a right to receive confidential advice from his assistants, which has been upheld by the United States Supreme Court. Now, right now it's being relitigated again because the United States Senate did not like the answer the White House gave them in the summer of 2007. If I'm called upon and a court of law says that the President has no such right, I'll testify. In the House of Representatives and in the Senate, we have made numerous attempts to provide the Congress with the information that it's requested in a way that protects the right of a President and his prerogative to receive that kind of advice from his staff, from his confidential advisors. The Senate has refused to take any one of the options. The House refused to take 5 separate options that we gave them, until finally some members of the House Judiciary Committee asked the questions that were being asked by the committee and sent them to me. And under penalty, I responded to those, and if you like, you can find my answers at rove.com. So I've answered them. But there is a rule of law, and we ought to respect that rule of law that says there is a separation of powers between the branches, and that's exactly why I have been directed by the President not to testify in front of Congress on these issues.